The earliest records of humankind harvesting honey go back 8,000 years ago, with some cave art in Spain showing a gatherer climbing a tree for that reason. Hive building and domestication of bees for these purposes was already known in ancient Egypt, and yet in Project Zomboid, this topic does not exist at all. But what if I tell you that there is a mod which tries to fill this pretty massive gap? Hey guys, I'm Gertrix and this is the Mod Shed, a series where I break down mods for Project Zomboid. And today, we're talking about HydeCo bees. I'll start today's episode by mentioning one thing. This mod is still a work in progress, but the author is very active on Steam, responds to comments, and has some really cool plans to develop this moving forward. And I personally really appreciate this approach. I will link the mod in the description of the video as always, so you can check it out. And what do you get by subscribing to HydeCo bees? Well, you essentially unlock items and crafting recipes which were known to humanity for millennia and are a great tool for survival. And all are related to, well, bees. Okay, but let's start at the beginning. Sourcing materials. Now you see, for now, at this stage of development of this mod, we need to rely on the most ancient technique there was, which is simply gathering, or as it's called in Project Zomboid, foraging. Depending on your skill level in foraging, you will be able to find various different things, starting with simple stuff like honeycombs, going all the way up to wild wasp nests or beehives, and eventually even a real living queen, which will be required to set up your own bee colony. Now, in the tests that I've done, I was not able to find a single queen, but they are so extremely rare, even in nature, that I think it's kind of understandable, and I don't find this a problem at all. Okay, but I think I'm done with all this foraging, so let's just grab everything that I was able to find in these forests, head to my temporary base, and see all the different crafting options which are made available through this mod. It took me a while to figure out the best way to talk about all the crafting options added through the HydeCo bees mod. Now, what I would normally do is just take the first initial ingredient and walk you through the process of creation of the output item, and I would repeat that process. But with HydeCo bees, we get so many different crafting options that I figured I have to do it the other way around. Otherwise, we would all just get completely lost in all of these available options, and I was lost in all of these options at the very beginning, but then I gave it a deeper look, and I think I understood how this entire concept works, and I think this graphic prepared by the creator also helps to understand the ins and outs of crafting with the HydeCo bees. And then it struck me, what I should do is talk about the end products first and why I find them useful, and only then focus on the crafting of those items, because I don't consider every single thing added through the HydeCo bees mod as a useful thing. You guys might have a different opinion, please share it in the comments, but I'm just gonna focus on the ones that I find super useful. And there is a total of 4 items which in my book are extremely useful, and these are pure honey. I don't think I should say more, I think it's self-explanatory. Honey poultice, which can be used in first aid to cure infections and improve the speed at which your wounds heal. Honeymead, which is probably one of my personal favorite alcoholic drinks that were ever created by humankind. And finally, basic candles, because when you run out of all those batteries, there is always a solution to light the dark. For each one of these, I can find multiple different applications in-game. For all the remaining items, which I'm just gonna briefly show you, not necessarily. I mean, the mod adds things like the ability to create dyes. You can make your own crayons if you'd like. There is also an option to make a paintbrush. So essentially, there is a ton of different things, but these 4 that I've mentioned before are probably my go-to picks, and make having this mod in your standard mod list completely worth it. Okay, so now that we got the end product sorted, let's talk a little bit about the crafting process and about sourcing the specific raw materials for all these different items you can make. I will prioritize the ones that I find useful, but essentially for anything that you would be crafting through this mod, it will probably start somewhere over here. So as an example, breaking a beehive is going to give us honeycombs, which are extremely useful, and also some live honeybees, paper scraps, and some larvae. The honeybees will probably be used in the future for setting up your own bee colonies. The larvae can be used as a lure for fishing. The paper scraps can be turned into paper, but the honeycomb is where the honey is. Extracting the honey from the honeycomb will require a sharp tool like a knife, and it will give you two things: pure honey and also some bee wax bits, which I'll show some applications for them later. You guys also need to keep in mind that there is a significant difference between wasps and bees, and while you can find wasp nests, don't expect to find any honey inside because, well, essentially wasps don't create any. You can still break it down though for some live wasps, which can be used as a fishing lure, and for some raw materials for paper creation. And that's basically it. This covers all the raw materials. Now what we've sourced can be transformed into various different things, and let's start those transforming processes. And of course I had to begin with making my own mead, and I start to notice a pattern. Whenever I talk about a mod which adds an option to make some sort of an alcoholic beverage, it makes me really excited, and I'm not sure, guys, should I be worried about this? Making mead with this mod is incredibly easy. It's just 4 basic ingredients: water, honey, yeast, and a bottle in which we are making it. Then you have to cook it and you're done. Now the real life process of making honey mead is a bit more complex, as you guys can imagine, and it's compatible with any other alcohol making process that, you know, require time for the fermentation, but for the purpose of the game, the creator made it really easy after cooking the bottle. And the cooking actually takes a long time, so you're free to go and do something else if you don't want to just fast forward the game. Once you cook the bottle, you have your honey mead ready to drink. Once cooked, you'll notice it's over 8,000 calories, which could also be used as a method of keeping your character's weight in check. I do have a small issue with the alcohol quantity. It says 6%, normally mead is double digit, but it's fine, it's a game, right? I mean, we don't need to be so precise. What I noticed, however, is that there is no animation for the bottle, and it's probably something that the creator will also include in the future, because right now it just looks weird. Another thing which is being added through this mod is yet another technique of preserving your food and making it stay fresh longer. You can achieve that by basically waxing the food, so covering it with a layer of wax. I didn't know that's actually a thing, so I had to do some research just to confirm if it's a real solution, and apparently it is, known since ancient times. And basically what you would do is cover the food item with a layer of wax, which prevents the moisture getting in or contamination getting in, essentially making the food last longer. What I didn't find, however, is how much more time the food will stay fresh, and I haven't tested it in practice. So if you guys have any experience with using this mod for this particular purpose, I would love to hear from you, because I'm just curious if waxed piece of pork can be kept outside and not go bad for a week. That would solve a lot of problems for playthroughs like Winter is Coming or CDDA, when we have very limited resources and no power. To wrap things up, the HydeCo Bees mod is something that I personally like very much, because it is a lightweight mod that adds something that's very simple, very basic, and yet missing in the vanilla version of the game. And the fact that the author keeps this as an ongoing project with, you know, further developments in the pipeline definitely makes it worth checking out. Especially if you're planning any kind of a wilderness survival game, this absolutely needs to be on your radar. Before we close, a quick shout out to all the tier 3 channel members. Thank you guys for the support. If you want to become a member, there are options available, I'm sure you'll find them. Quickly plugging my Discord. If there is a mod that you would like me to cover, or you just want to hang out with me or other Project Zomboid players, the link is in the description. And yeah, thank you for every single like, for every single comment under each of my videos. It helps the algorithm push this content to more people and basically spread the message, so I highly appreciate it. For today's episode, guys, that's everything. And as always, I'm Gertrix. Cheers!